I'm Angela Harmon with Happy Academy and author of Birds of a Feather. And I have my sister, friend, and confidant, Ellen Swasso. Let her introduce herself and she'll open us up with treatment.
Yes. So I invite you to just get centered in that space of oneness, knowing that regardless of what's going on, what's happening, what had happened this morning, early this morning, you are now in the presence of God, and you are one as God. Each one of us is one as God, like a cell of God's body. And as we embody this power, this mind, this oneness, we allow ourselves to just be in it. As we enter this conversation, this conscious conversations, for us to understand deeper than what the words are saying, that we may be able to have insights that we can implement in our lives on a daily life, so we can become better, not better, but really become who we are here to be. Because you and me are already good. We just have to remember, we must remember who we are and whose we are. And as we do that through these conversations, we say yes. We say yes to life. And we continue to walk in this journey, knowing that all is good and that each person receives everything and anything that is needed. And I pass.
And I know this to be true because as we put first things first every day, the language that works for me is being proactive and beginning with the end in mind. And we know when we do that, the first thing is going to be the right thing, even if we don't like the thing. So we're here to do the right thing every day, make that a habit, and we receive this and activate this in our lives with happiness and peace. And so it is.
And so it is. Wonderful, beautiful.
Yeah.
So you can go ahead and read the reading for today.
Okay, so the reading for today, and I've been posting this on Facebook and LinkedIn because we're going to expand our audience as we get to Wednesdays bi-weekly. So every other Wednesday we'll be here. So this Wednesday is April 5th. We spend an incredibly inordinate amount of time dealing with symptoms of low trust. And learning how to deal with the symptoms faster is not going to make a qualitative difference. So I'm going to read it one more time. We spend an incredibly inordinate amount of time dealing with symptoms of low trust. And learning how to deal with the symptoms faster is not going to make a qualitative difference. I love it. I want to add that yesterday was the final day, day 64 of the season of nonviolence. So you can ponder on that one later. We're going to use for today, but yesterday's was win-win is not adversarial, it's synergistic. It is transactional. It's not transactional, it's transformational. So I thought about Dr. Martin Luther King and Malcolm X meeting and what kind of conversation would they have had around that. And so it wouldn't be adversarial, it would be synergistic. So today we're going to spend our, how do we spend our time on low trust situations? You want to kick it off, sister?
What comes to me is prayer.
That's why we're here. Well, that wouldn't be the first thing in my environment, so I'll kick that off because I worked in a corporate environment for 45 years. I worked for an airline. I thought I wanted to get with another airline, so I worked with IBM. And so the word prayer wasn't dominant in that environment. And matter of fact, they didn't want me to have prayer in my book, but I know the word prayer. But affirmations and positive responses is a language that can be used everywhere. It's in science, it's in math. So I like positive and negative. I like above the line and I like below the line. So positive transactions are going to be above the line when you spend your time. And negative responses are going to be below the line. So as my sister says with prayer, the prayer is going to be above the line. Your affirmations, your positive words, I can do this, as Henry Ford says, whatever you say you can is true. So if you say you can't, that's true too. So the cans are above the line, the can'ts are above the line, below the line. So why spend our time where there's a place that we can't trust the transaction? If there's a negative vibe percolating, why are we spending so much time on the negative rather than seeking out all the positive that's available? So that's how I see it. That's what proactive, the begin with the end in mind, it's got to, for me, is a positive. And if it's not a positive, that means it's a negative. So if my positive is not going to meet your negative, and we can spend all day there. We can spend all our lives there, but it's never going to meet. Positive meets positive, negative meets negative. That's how so I don't want to spend my time like that.
What comes to me is how do we transform negative into positive, right? And like you said, positive affirmations. And yes, I use prayer because that's something that we don't use in the corporate America. Unlike yourself, I haven't been in corporate America that much. I've been more an entrepreneur than in corporate America. And so that's the difference between the two of us. And so, which is great. I think it's great. It's a great mix. Because there's of both worlds out there, right? And so we can come and take on what is best for you, what works best for you. And as I say in my prayer, I am knowing that you are receiving what you need to receive today, wherever you are in your life. And just like my sister said, you want to make sure that you are in alignment with the other person. If you're not in alignment with the other person, it's kind of difficult to agree. And so the best thing to do, I think, is sometimes it's best to just let go of the moment. If there's no agreement, the energy is not synergetic, then we need to just let go and come back another time. And if we have to deal with someone that for whatever reason, for whatever the situation, I would suggest, you know what, right now is not a good time for us to talk. Maybe we need to revisit this conversation later on when we both can agree and when we both can see eye to eye. That would be my suggestion, because a lot of times we have people in our lives that whether we like it or not, we have to deal with them. And so how do we deal with them? How do we conversate with them? How do we meet each other in a way that is beneficial for all? That's what comes to me.
I appreciate that. Thank you. That would meet the minds of your environment, and what meets my mind when you speak to that. I can't work with anyone that doesn't think win-win. So in my environment, we don't deal with people that won't ever come back ready. Because that person, when they leave the situation, they are to go be proactive, begin with the end in mind, and put first things first. That is no guarantee that that other player is going to do that. So in my environments, we were with players that wanted to do that. And I didn't have to go back looking for a player that didn't want to think win-win. That's not going to make the success of the project or of the team, or if we want to bring it to a family. So if you have a family member that does not think win-win, you can go back all you want. You're going to get the same results. And that's back to low trust. If there's no trust in that situation, why are you going back? The trust has to be raised. That volume, that person, you will see evidence of proactive, putting first things first, evidence in their own independentness. And that means now can come together and win. That's how my sister and I did that. She has her own independent win-win mind for herself. So when she comes together with someone, she wants to win. We wouldn't be doing this if she didn't have a proactive, begin with the end in mind, put first things first stance. Matter of fact, she came up with, let's do this. But I don't play with people that don't want to win. I'm not that kind of person. And I believe IBM had a big hand in that because I've been doing this for 25 years. So it's back to not wasting my time. I'm going to be above the line as much as I can. Now, if you want to drag me below the line, I'm going to go kicking and screaming, and you might want to let go. So I am not going to try to pull you up because you might come kicking and screaming. Each of us are independent individuals in this world. It is our choice to be positive or negative. And I'm not going to have a negative person on my team knowingly. Now, if they sneak in, that's one thing. But once I discover what it is, then if we can't have a win-win conversation, it's no deal.
I agree with you that as a team, when we're working together, when we come together, we want to have, all of us, we want to have a win-win situation. So the project or whatever is being worked at, whether it's family situations or work related, yes, we want to have, we all want to have win-win situation, but I like to believe in human, knowing that what are we made of? I know what each person is made of, and I really believe in the grace of God in each person. No matter how they're showing up at the moment, I know in my heart that they can have a change of mind, a change of heart. I know that.
I know that too. Yes.
And so
Yes.
because of that, that's the reason why I say right now, maybe it's not the right time for us to have this conversation or to have this meeting or to work together. But who knows, maybe later on we can, depending on what you do, what you
That's
are.
back there, whether they
And the
come
reason why
above
I
the
said that
line.
is because, yeah, because
Because
people
if they're
are
still
in
below the
different
line,
heights.
sis, you got to get me clear on that. Grace has nothing to do with whether my grace is to let them back in if they come above the line. If I detect negativity, I'm not doing it. So it's I get the grace part, but I will always meet them if they are working positively. If I sense negativity, I'm not doing it. That has nothing to do with grace in my mind. So I would like to clarify where the grace comes in if they're still here. I've opened the door, notice the negativity. So we're going to have to, it's still negative. It's still negative.
All I'm saying is that we all have to give people opportunities to come back. That's all I'm saying.
No, now
Really,
that
that's what I'm
happens, but they
saying.
come back positive, right? Or can they
Yeah,
come back negative?
definitely.
Okay, I'm
Yes,
just
yes,
checking.
yes,
That's all I'm
yes. They
checking
have
because
to,
they
they
can't
have
come
to come
back
back.
negative.
No, because in
Okay.
order for us to meet on a win-win, they have to come back to that higher level. They can, we're not gonna be able to work if we're not meeting in that higher level. That's for sure. So yes.
That's where we're at. So that's what the focus of this is. I'm going to read this from 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens. We're going to have programs for that coming up. And we'll close out with this because I thought this was an opportunity for not wasting our time, especially after closing out the season of nonviolence. So it's an inside out job. When we crawl before we walk. We learn arithmetic before algebra. We must fix ourselves before we can fix others. And that's what the teens say. There's no fixing, but we must work on ourselves first. If you want to make a change in your life, the place to begin is with yourself, not with your parents or your boyfriend or your professors. All change begins with you. It's an inside out job, not outside in. I'm reminded of a writing by the Angelica Bishop. When I was young and free and my imagination had no limits, I dreamed of changing the world. As I grew older and wiser, I realized the world would not change. And I decided to shorten my sights and somehow just change only my country. But it too seemed immovable. As I entered into my twilight years and my last desperate attempt, I sought to change only my family, those closest to me, and alas, they would have none of it. And now, as I lie on my deathbed and realize, perhaps for the first time, that if only I had changed myself, and then by example, I would have influenced my family, and with their encouragement and support, I may have bettered my country, and who knows, I may have changed the world. So I'm saying I'm ready to change my world, to change the world around me. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you for sharing that story. That was beautiful. I love it. I use it all the time.
Yeah,
Thank you.
wonderful. So join us on in another 2 weeks. Look at our websites. Mine is myhappyacademy.org. Check out Facebook and LinkedIn for everyday publishing of First Things First. And we love you. Bye, birds of a feather. Anything else, sister?
Hey, just stay tuned. We also want to tell you that we have a retreat coming up in October. So check, we will be posting all the information. So just keep your eyes open for it. Just save the date for October 12th to the 17th.
Yay. Have a good week. Happy Wednesday. Bye, sis.